1998. Ohio State began the year at the top of the polls with Joe Germain at quarterback and future NFL star David Boston dominating out wide. The team had a decent season statistically, beating up on the teams they were expected to beat until they ran into a determined Michigan State team in November. Ohio State gave up a 24-9 lead, with the Spartans scoring 18 unanswered to knock the Buckeyes out of the national title picture. Ohio State would go on to win their Sugar Bowl matchup with Texas A&M, finishing the season with the number 3 ranking, 1999. The 1999 Florida State team was led by Chris Winkie, who would become the oldest Heisman Trophy winner at the end of the 2000 season. The Seminoles went through the season unbeaten, taking down several ranked teams en route to the title game against Virginia Tech. That Hokies team featured Michael Vick and his exciting style of play, but Florida State went wire to wire, winning the title and retaining the number 1 ranking from start to finish. This was a rare feat, running through the season as the favorite and actually finishing the job. As we go through the remaining years of the BCS era, you will see just how unique this result was. 2000. Surprisingly, it was not Florida State coming off the championship the year before, and with Winkie returning under center, ranked number 1 to start the season. Instead, the AP went with Nebraska at the top of the polls to start the 2000 season. With quarterback Eric Crouch running their option offense and a defense that had been dominant the previous year, they were expected to contend for a championship. They started strong, winning their first 7 games by an average of 37 points. But they lost to Oklahoma 31-14 in a showdown of undefeated teams, with the Sooners shutting down their vaunted rushing attack. That loss knocked them out of the championship picture. They went on to finish the season 10-2 after a disappointing late season loss to Kansas State, which ensured there wasn't a chance of a backdoor championship opportunity in store for the Huskers. Their final ranking, 8th, not where the team or fan base expected from a team with their amount of promise starting the year. 2001. Florida was the top-ranked team kicking off the 2001 season with Steve Spurrier's fun and gun offense. With Rex Grossman at quarterback, they were expected to contend for a championship, but they lost to Auburn 23-20 when Damon Duval hit a 44-yard field goal with 10 seconds left and then fell to Tennessee 34-32 in a game that was rescheduled due to 9/11. They weren't a factor in the championship race. They finished the season ranked 3rd, a letdown for the preseason favorite. The season would be Spurrier's last at Florida, as he shocked the college football world by leaving for the NFL's Washington Redskins after the season, kicking off the Ron Zook era. 2002. Miami started the season in the top spot in 2002 after their undefeated championship 2001 season. With Ken Dorsey at quarterback and a defense featuring Sean Taylor and Jonathan Vilma, they were heavily favored to repeat. They won their first 12 games, extending their winning streak to 34 before meeting Ohio State in the championship. In a controversial finish, a late pass interference call gave the Buckeyes new life, and they won 31-24 in double overtime. Miami finished the season ranked number 2, ending their winning streak 1 victory short of back-to-back titles. 2003. Oklahoma was number 1 in 2003 with Jason White leading the offense. They were absolutely dominant in the regular season, going 12-0 and outscoring opponents by an average of 35 points. White won the Heisman after throwing 40 touchdowns and just 8 interceptions. Unfortunately for the Sooners, they got demolished by Kansas State 35-7 in the Big 12 championship, with White throwing 2 interceptions. They somehow still made the title game, but lost to LSU 21-14. This was the odd season where USC finished the season ranked number 1, but was left out of the title game by the BCS. Oklahoma ended up finishing 3rd, another disappointment. 2004. USC took the top spot in 2004 and actually delivered. With Leinart, Bush, and Lendale White leading the offense, they went undefeated and won the championship, crushing Oklahoma 55-19 in the Orange Bowl. This was later vacated due to NCAA violations involving Bush, so officially they didn't finish number 1. But the AP honors the title, and anyone who watched this team knows they were worth the cost of admission. On the field, they lived up to the hype. 2005. The USC Trojans were number 1 again to start the 2005 season, with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush returning. They were going for an unprecedented 3rd straight championship and looked unstoppable, winning their first 12 games while scoring over 50 points 7 times. They made it to the championship game but lost a classic to Texas in the Vince Young game. Young scored the winning touchdown with 19 seconds left that all college football fans remember, ending the Trojans' 34-game winning streak. USC finished second, another runner-up finish for a preseason favorite, and an epically disappointing ending to the Leinart-Bush era, at least for those of you that are USC fans. 2006. Ohio State grabbed number 1 in 2006 and nearly lived up to it. With Troy Smith at quarterback and a defense allowing just 12.8 points per game, they went undefeated in the regular season, including a 42-39 win over number 2 Michigan in one of the most hyped games ever. But they ran into an angry Florida team in the championship game and got demolished 41-14. Smith, who had just won the Heisman, completed just 4 of 14 passes for 35 yards. They finished second, close, but no trophy. 2007. The USC Trojans took the opening week honors in 2007 with another loaded roster featuring quarterback John David Booty and linebacker Ray Maualuga. They lost to Stanford as 41-point favorites in one of the biggest upsets ever, then dropped another game to Oregon. Their defense was still elite, allowing just 16 points per game, but the offense was inconsistent. The 2007 season was pure chaos, and in the end, USC represented the Pac-10 in the Rose Bowl, beating Illinois to finish ranked 3rd. Another underachieving season for the Trojans, if you call a number 3 ranking underachieving. 2008. Georgia was number 1 in 2008 after finishing the previous season ranked 2nd. With Matthew Stafford at quarterback, Noshawn Moreno at running back, and AJ Green at receiver, they had star power on offense. But they lost badly to Alabama, getting outscored 31-0 in the first half, and then were blown out by Florida 49-10 in a game where Urban Meyer called 2 late timeouts just to rub it in. They were out of the title picture by mid-October. They finished 13th, one of the bigger preseason ranking misses. Considering the future NFL star power on this roster, it was a disappointing result. 2009. Florida began the season in the top spot in 2009 with Tim Tebow returning for his senior year. After winning 2 of the previous 3 championships, they returned all 11 defensive starters and were heavy favorites to repeat. They won their first 12 games, though the offense wasn't as explosive as expected, scoring under 30 points 6 times. They were undefeated until losing badly to Alabama in the SEC Championship, where Tebow was in tears on the sideline as his dream of another title slipped away. They bounced back to crush Cincinnati in the Sugar Bowl, finishing 3rd. Solid, but short of the repeat championship many expected. By the way, if you're enjoying this breakdown of college football's preseason favorites, hit that subscribe button. I'm dropping new videos every week breaking down the biggest stories in college football history, from legendary upsets to coaching scandals that changed programs forever. 2010. Alabama began at number 1 in 2010 after winning the previous championship. With Mark Ingram returning after his Heisman season and a solid defense featuring stars Marcel Darius and Mark Barron, they were favored to repeat. But it wasn't in the cards, as they lost 3 games to South Carolina, LSU, and Auburn, and weren't a factor in the title race. The Auburn loss was particularly painful, as they blew a 24-0 lead while Cam Newton led the Tigers to a 28-27 comeback win and an eventual national championship. Alabama finished the season ranked 10th, a major disappointment for the defending champs. 2011. Oklahoma was the preseason pick in 2011. With Landry Jones at quarterback and a defense featuring future NFL players like Ronald Lewis and Tony Jefferson, they were expected to contend for a championship. They started 6-0, including an impressive road win over Florida State, before the wheels came off. They lost to Texas Tech at home, snapping a 39-game winning streak, and then came losses to Baylor, where Robert Griffin III had his Heisman moment with a last-minute touchdown pass, and Oklahoma State in a 44-10 blowout that wasn't even competitive. They finished 16th, another example of the chaos that comes with preseason hype. 2012. USC was number 1 in 2012 to start the season with Matt Barkley returning for his senior year. With receivers Marquise Lee and Robert Woods, plus running backs Silas Redd and Curtis McNeil, the offense was expected to be unstoppable. What followed was one of the biggest collapses in college football history. After starting 6-1, they lost 5 of their last 6 games, including embarrassing defeats to Arizona and UCLA. Barkley got hurt late in the season, and the defense gave up 39 points per game during during the collapse. They went from preseason number 1 to unranked, finishing 7-6 and completely out of the polls. It was a total disaster that cost Coach Lane Kiffin his job early the next season. 2013. Alabama started in the top spot in 2013 after back-to-back championships. With A.J. McCarron returning at quarterback and T.J. Yeldon emerging as the next great Bama running back, they were heavy favorites for a three-peat. They started 11-0, including a 49-42 shootout win over Texas A&M, where they survived Johnny Manziel throwing for 464 yards and 5 touchdowns. They were one play away from another title game appearance until the infamous kick 6 against Auburn ended their dreams. After a missed field goal, Auburn's Chris Davis returned the kick 109 yards for a touchdown on the final play, giving the Tigers a 34-28 win. Alabama then lost to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, finishing 7th, not exactly the ending envisioned at the start of the season. However, the pattern is clear. Being preseason number 1 feels like a curse. Since 1998, only 2 teams successfully started the season at number 1 and finished there. Thanks for watching, and be sure to hit subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly breakdowns of the sport's biggest stories, rivalries, and legends. See you in the next one, where we will break down the college football playoff era. Preseason, number 1 teams.